Good evening, fellow ghouls and specters alike. It's your ghost host with the most, Tiki here.
And Blue Dragon 5, here to engage in some haunted holiday hijinks by trudging through the catacombs and dusting off the cobwebs to recount a spooky selection of Halloween classics.
So light them jack-o'-lanterns, suit up, and grab the candy dish, Bon, as we revive and recount tonight's spooky selection, the Andy Griffith Show, the Haunted House.
Wah! Wah!
Oh, God. Oh, my God, dude. Oh, I was hoping you would bust out the Dawn Knots, and I was not. Oh, well done, sir. Well done. Okay, so yes, we are talking the Andy Griffith Show, The Haunted House. Dragon, I am very excited that we get to talk Andy Griffith. It is one of my favorite sitcoms. It's right up there with the likes of like I Love Lucy as far as like, the golden age black and white sitcoms. I strongly feel like this show was just like it's just comfort food in the form of a television show. It is just like so charming, so quintessentially all American. The comedy stylings of Don Knotts are like some of my all-time most like I aspire to be like Don Knotts as far as being a comedian goes. Like I look to him for inspiration in my delivery a lot. And I think Andy Griffith, I think is just such a great straight man. He's an awesome straight man in this show. And honestly, I don't think he gets enough credit for that. And I think this episode, fortunately, kind of highlights Andy Griffith in the straight man role. So I'm looking forward to breaking that all down. I know you're not that big on Griffith, but Dragon, what are your thoughts on just this episode overall and how it kind of translates to your thoughts on the show?
Yeah, so that's the thing. So I never really watched the show, but I always have respect for because I do really like Andy Griffith. I saw a little bit more Matlock than I did this show with him, and I do like him. And I from what I've seen here, this is probably the first, probably maybe honestly maybe the first full episode I've ever seen of the thing, but it's really good. It's got folksy charm for days. There's kind of a proto Happy Days kind of vibe going on very appropriately. Uh, you know, uh, and I mean that's the thing. I love that the Andy Taylor character. He's very much a wizened version of Richie Cunningham. That's kind of what he feels like. He feels like kind of like the latter, like because Richie. I forget if Richie became a Marine or what he became. He became he was in the military. I forget which branch of the military in Happy Days. But the point being, it went off and he might have been. I don't think it was the Navy. The point being, it's like what if you took that Richie Cunningham and you brought him back? It was a decade earlier.
Right, right.
Well, I guess actually a decade. Actually, it probably would have timed out to be roughly where Happy Days left off. So I guess it's all relative. Anyway, it's a nice moral show with charm for days, and this episode seems like prototypical kind of the stuff that they do. So yeah, man, I remember my grandfather had a poster of the Andy Griffith Show with Don Knotts with Barney Fife. So there was always kind of like a little bit of like, what's that all about? And you're like, oh, let me tell you. Anyway,
All
so
right.
yeah.
What? Sorry.
So yeah, I liked it.
Okay. All right, so a little bit of behind the scenes here, just a little bit of background. Again, it's like there's not like it's not like there's a ton of detail about like the production of this specific episode, but interestingly enough, Dragon, this premiered. It was the 97th episode of the show overall, second episode of the fourth season. Premiered October 7th, 1963. And apparently, it was the inspiration for the Don Knotts movie, The Ghost and Mr. Chicken from 1966. So it kind of helped kickstart Don Knotts' like high concept, family comedy career. A couple other important details about this one. Dragon, did you catch the writer?
No, I didn't. Who wrote this one?
The Dragon, it's someone we know.
Yeah.
the writer of this episode is Harvey Bullock.
Oh, him. The other Harvey Bullock. Yeah.
I kid you not, it is actually Harvey Bullock.
If it's, I presume it's the same Harvey Bullock I'm thinking of here, where that is the Harvey Bullock who wrote on a Man Called Flintstone.
Probably,
and,
yeah.
that Harvey Bullock
like
is
the same ballpark.
and the way the story goes, that Harvey Bullock is the reason for the namesake Harvey Bullock in the comic.
Oh, that's crazy.
So this Harvey Bullock is, so
in some ways, it is kind of like the actual Harvey Bullock writing this.
I mean, in a sense, yeah. So, plus, you have cops in this, and some shenanigans with said cops. So yeah, it is relative.
Let's see. We do have some returning characters, Dragon, just for context. Gomer Pyle, of course, is a very popular character who got spun off into his own spin-off series where he is in the military. Let's see. We have, of course, Otis is like Dragon. I know you said you didn't really watch the show, but Otis is very much like a reoccurring character. Like he's essentially the norm of the jail cell, Dragon. He's the norm of the police station. He's always there. He's always hanging out. Big Jack Anderson, not as reoccurring of a character as Otis. Like I would say Otis is like a supporting lead. But Big Jack Anderson is around. He is definitely an antagonistic force in the series. He's kind of like the local bootlegger. So this is his only appearance in the show. Is basically what I'm getting at here. He's kind of like a reoccurring, almost like a peg leg Pete for Andy Griffith to deal with, for Andy Taylor to deal with. And then the only other thing that I thought was interesting, Dragon, was apparently the exterior of the house that was used in this episode was basically just redressed to look run down, and it was used for a couple other characters in the series, including Mayor Stoner and Clara Johnson. Clara Johnson was, I believe, Barney Fife's first love interest in the show. And it is still on the Universal backlot to this day, where it is known as the Aunt Pitty Pat House. Since it was also used as Aunt Pitty's house in Gone with the Wind. So yeah, so some interesting set decor there.
Two things.
Okay.
One, the love interest for Barney Fife. One could say they tied the knots.
Yep.
Yeah. Secondly, we should also probably mention that initially, folks, we're going to cover another famous black and white television series for this, but then semantics got in the way.
Yeah.
Yeah. We were hoping to cover Honeymooners, but then we had this.
I think this worked out, though. I think
it worked out. I'm just saying, it's a shame because like the most iconic episode of the Honeymooners, but unfortunately because of technicalities on every stretch, it's not creepy enough.
It's a costume party. It's not technically Halloween.
And the reason
with the 10-minute pilot that it would technically be Halloween, but only very technically. Yeah. They only mentioned Halloween once.
Exactly. So it's a whole annoying thing of like, man, I really want to talk about that episode. We have no real good precedent for it, man. Like, darn the semantics, because it's not creepy enough to fit our purposes. It's just anyway.
But by contrast, I do think that what I like about this episode and what drew me to it right away, like as soon as I Googled Halloween episodes of Andy Griffith Show, this was the one that came up. And I recognized it, Dragon, because I have marathoned this show before. Mm-hmm. And what draws me to this episode is just that it's very much quintessential, like, it's almost like a live-action Scooby-Doo, where there's like a creepy location, there's some greedy businessmen doing some shady dealings, trying to keep the townspeople away, there's some cool atmosphere. I don't know. I just think it plays very much into that kind of quintessential like 1950s spooky house at the end of the road trope.
It also helps that Don Knotts is in both Scooby-Doo and this.
This is true.
Okay.
All right. Little Blue is complimenting Don Knotts on the moon. Yeah, I didn't know if Jacob could do it, Dragon, but I think he did a good job.
Yeah.
It was either that or just like the outline of a stereotypical haunted house, so I think this is more distinct. All right. So yeah, Dragon, do you want to just dive right into it?
Yeah, let's do it.
Okay, so the episode starts with Opie hanging out with a boy who happens to have the last name of Winkler.
I'll get out of here. Really.
What are the odds, Dragon? What are the odds?
Wait, so this kid, does he ever come back in the show?
This is another reoccurring kid, yeah. Again, it's not like a major character, but, it's like he's one of the few kids that they'll switch around if Opie needs just another boy to bounce off of.
You gotta wonder.
Arnold Winkler.
Was Gary Marshall, like, doing the casting, and was he thinking, like, there was this one episode of Griffith that I thought was really... Someone passed me another fudgesicle that was really eye-catching to me.
By the way, I have really bad allergies for some reason that came on between doing this and doing Jetson. So if you hear me blowing my nose, I apologize. There's not much I can do about it.
Well, no.
Anyways,
there's hitting the mute button before you blow your nose, but sure, there's nothing you can do about it, Tiki.
Okay, I will try to do that, Dragon. I just don't want to slow down the conversation. So if you see me muted, that's why.
Okay. So, we have the what is it? The Rearshaw house, the Renshaw house.
The Renshaw house, yeah.
Renshaw house, yes. So, anyways, the boys, going around, they're chit-chatting, and we hit the ball into the Renshaw house, and they have very childish, kind of conversations, like, go get it. Like, who's gonna go get it? And they fear the spooks inside the house, as in ghost kids. They're a ghost inside that house. They're convinced to be an old haunted house, and I love that this whole episode is set during the daytime, by the way.
Yeah, no, that is a good choice. Yeah.
Yeah. Let's see. So, okay, so they're kind of arbitrating about who's gonna go and everything. They're hearing moaning. Oh, and you
ooh, spooky.
And initially, you're thinking, okay, is that their imaginations? But we're gonna learn, no, that is indeed real moaning.
Right.
Okay, let's see. So you get the moaning. Cut to we go from the moaning to the morning.
You sly dog, you.
Oh. So,
oh my God.
The sheriff here, old Sheriff Andy, he lets Otis out of the drunk tank.
And this is very much Dragon. Like I said, this bit with Otis being in the drunk tank and Andy just like, all right, Otis, you can come and go. And then Otis just being such a regular that he's just reaching for the keys all casual. Like, this is very much like, like a usual day for Otis at the office for this show.
It's a really good joke. And I do like the standard operating procedure. What's going on here? Because this guy being a regular, it's kind of nice there. And it's like the comedy feels like per what this show would do. And I'm digging it. So you have Barney Fife here. He wants to issue Otis a sobriety test, but not just any sobriety test.
Oh my God!
Because again, they don't really have the means to do a breathalyzer or like a blood test or anything on him, like a balloon. Apparently, back in the day,
this is just like the charm of Barney Fife, Dragon. Barney Fife, it's like, he will get an idea in his head, but he won't know when to quit. I feel like that's like one of the big ingredients with Barney Fife. It's like he will go all the way to prove that he is in the right and that he has a good idea, even if it ends up making him look like a total fool.
So this is something that I think I vaguely remember this one when they brought this up. Like, it's been so long since I've heard about this being enacted that, like, I guess back in the old days before we actually had the breathalyzer, it was the balloon test. The balloon test might actually be based on a real thing. So that's the thing. Well, we don't have any balloons. So he was, okay, here's the surprise. We're going to have to jump rope. They're going to have him jump rope. This is like, jump ropes? Yeah, jump or tell us where you got the moonshine. Oh, I can't do that. So Barney demonstrates the show.
And I love how committed Barney is to the rhymes and just, again, like the physical comedy on Don Knotts. Like, he is into it, Dragon. He is into it. Like, you can tell this man takes his jump rope seriously for as ridiculous as it is.
Yep, you don't want to tie this man up in knots.
So would you like to know the rhyme, Dragon? I have it written down.
Oh, sure, these rhymes are good enough for him. Yes.
Call for the doctor. Call for the nurse. Call for the lady with the alligator purse. Then Otis is just like, oh, come on. People are going to see me doing that. They're going to think I'm really drunk.
All right, so the boys interrupt this, and Otis giving Barney the business here.
Uh-huh.
The whole like, I'll go out and get some gin. Oh, stop that now!
Oh my god.
So the boys interrupt, and they basically get a long story short, get a lecture from they get not like an angry lecture, they get kind of a little bit of wisdom, nugget of wisdom from Sheriff Andy here, where he says like you boys aren't supposed to be playing by the Renshaw place.
Dragon Andy Griffith doesn't never lose his temper. Andy Taylor, I should say.
Mm-hmm.
Like he will lose his temper on occasion, but it takes something really major for it to happen. That's all I can say with his character.
Like an Ed Begley Jr. kind of anger sort of thing,
Right. Like his character, for the most part, is like the most patient, understanding dude. And it's like it's only if something really fucking underhanded happens to innocent people. That's what fucking riles them up.
Yeah.
All right. Anyways.
All right, let's see. So then we have the big moral here of nothing to fear but fear itself. Given to us by Barney.
Yes, and I love how that line's going to come back.
Mm-hmm. So we have. I gotta tell you, man, I really love this. This gives me geeking out about the show for a second here. I love how just kind of charming and rural this little conversation is between Andy and Barn here about the whole yeah, why don't you send them to get the ball? They would learn them. Essentially saying they go back to get the ball, they're gonna conquer their fears. It's kind of an actual conversation about parenting here. It's like, well, it's a dangerous property, nails and stuff. And
if you like that, that kind of stuff, that kind of like humble conversations about the dynamics of being a single father and parenting, it's all the fuck over the show, man.
Yeah, so there's something I didn't know. You just told me. So wait, so he's a single father then?
Yeah, he's a single father. Yeah.
I did not know that.
Uh-huh.
But yeah, I thought that bit to me is really hit me. We're like, oh man, he's a really good dad. He doesn't want him to get hurt by going.
He is a really good dad, Dragon. That's a big part of his character.
Yeah, so that's very.
Well, can say he does have because I forget exactly what the circumstances are, but I'm pretty sure it's one of those things where the mother died either in childbirth or when Opie was a baby or something, So I do think there is a little bit of a way more well put together Chaz Finster kind of vibe where he is just very much going out of his way to be the best father that he can be for his kid.
Yeah. Sounds good. All right.
And it is kind of what forms a lot of the character's moral compass as well. Sure.
Okay, so we have this gag here where we're like, well, I'm expecting a call. Why don't you go out and get the ball? Me? That's a haunted. I mean, it's the Wren. It's the Renshaw house. So I'll get my hat while he's wearing his hat. Very clearly in view, the man is still wearing his hat. So clearly, Barney here, he is perturbed by the haunted legend. He does not want to risk any ghosts and goblins getting them.
Okay, I'm sorry. A Little Blue, he made a joke about Oogie Boogie commenting on the Barney Fife on the moon. He's saying, hey, who's that dopey cop on the moon? He took my place.
He took my place.
I did totally misread that comment.
Yeah.
Get out of here, little man.
He's double dead.
Oh my god. Andy, help me, I'm double down. All right.
Don's gonna make a dupe out of me.
Oh my god. Now, Bond, he's just a bag of bugs. He can't really hurt you.
How dare you treat my friend so shamefully?
Okay, oh god. Okay. Oh my god.
Boogie, boogie.
Wow.
Okay.
Yeah, there is only one shadow on the moon at night, indeed. And it's me!
Speaking by 1 second. Okay. So, anyways, Barn is fearful here. Let's see. So then he remembers. Oh, but Otis here. I got to finish the sobriety test. So Andy says, "Okay, look, I'm expecting this call from essentially expecting this government call. I
From the
forget,
capital.
capital, yes.
It's a very vague reason for Andy to not go to the house for the first time.
Yeah. So I love how this is. I love this. I love how charming Andy is here. This folksy, gentle way he asks, like, "Are you shying away from the Renshaw house?" So then, enter Gomer Pyle.
Gomer Pyle. Now, are you aware of Gomer Pyle, Dragon, just
You know what?
generally, like,
You know
in
what's
pop
funny?
culture?
I know for pop culture most, I absolutely know who Gomer Pyle is, but I
Okay,
don't know the actual legend of the man. I kind of got a little crash course in it here in this episode, just kind of getting the vibe. Okay,
You
so that's
don't really need to know much. The whole idea is that he's basically like, kind of like a country bumpkin everyman who goes off to join the army in his own sitcom.
yeah, I can't tell you how many parodies I've seen of Gomer Pyle. I mean, Futurama being one that jumps to kind of jumps to me,
Right,
right out the bat. And that and Teacher's Pet Blues are two like Gomer Pyle things.
right.
Anyway, so yeah, so Gomer Pyle, nice dim bulb of a guy.
Totally. That's a good
One
way to put it. Yeah.
one could say he's proto Stinky from Hey Arnold.
A little bit, a little bit.
So anyway, so he basically
I love
Barney
how
invites,
Barney's just like so opportunistic. Like as soon as Gomer walks in, he's like, "Hey, Gomer, you busy?"
and you can just see the gears spinning in his head. Like, I'm gonna take him along and send him to the Jumbo. I don't have to go at all.
Oh my god. Can I just say, Don Knotts' Turkey Lurkey and Chicken Little is like both the best thing about that movie and probably one of the most appropriately well cast Don Knotts roles ever.
And the last Don Knotts rule.
Because his voice has always and forever sounded like a turkey.
Yep.
Alright, anyways.
Okay. So, okay. Anyway, so I love Andy's kind of giving that.
Oh, this is just basically like, yeah, I'd like that.
Well, Gomer is, yeah.
Oh, Gomer. Yeah, I'm sorry. Yeah.
Anyway, so then Andy's kind of giving that look of like, oh, you've been everything, you know that? And he leaves, so they arrive. The boys arrive. Well, the guys arrive, and then they argue about who's going in. This is what's really funny to me is the fact that we kind of parallel to Act 1 here, where like these grown men are exactly like kids, even more childish.
Well, if you think about it, like in this episode, I think that's one of the reasons why the episode works as well as it does, is that it is very well like laid out with the 3 acts, where it's like each act there's there's a different trip to the house, and each time it gets escalated.
Yeah, but I love that like our kids who are actually debating going in, like they actually had a reasonable kind of more like, like, okay, well, it's not necessarily them trying to throw the other one under the bus. It's just like, I mean, will you go? I'll go if you go. So it's like they were willing to do it, where these two are like very cowardice and they do not want to go at all. And say, well, you go in, like you go in, that sort of thing. All right, so let's see. So they try to what exactly happens here? So they just get spooked before they even go in, right?
More or less, yeah. They let's see. I'm trying to. They hear noises for sure. Actually, no. I think they do go in.
Well, they don't. They definitely don't stay long. They go in for.
No, they hear noises. I think. I think they hear moaning. Yeah, they hear. They go in. They lead towards the hole in the window where the baseball went through, and then they hear moaning, and that's enough to scare them off.
Yep, and then we cut to Barney getting some water. Like, I needed that.
Oh, God.
Got a little PTSD, and he's and this is kind of interesting. How a little later here he's reminiscing of old man Renshaw here. He warned people not to disturb his place. So like, well, why don't we honor the man's last request?
This is like the best Don Knotts monologue in the episode. Yeah. I think it's like there's a lot we don't know, Andy. There's plenty going on right now in the Twilight Zone. Watch it now on CBS, Andy, on CBS.
Now you know that's perfect cross promotion.
It's got to be a tie-in. It's like exactly the same time period. Yeah.
Picture, if you will.
That Ron certainly knows more than he's letting on, Andy.
He's standing around floating doors, Andy.
Oh, God.
They're just floating through space. There's an eyeball.
Oh, my God. All right. Oh, Jesus Christ. Okay. Oh, recenter.
He had time, Andy. He had time.
Okay. All right, so something that's actually in the episode proper. Andy's like, wasn't it you, Barn, that said you've got nothing to fear but fear itself?
Exactly. That's what I got. Fear itself.
That might be my favorite line of the episode.
I love that he's like, look, I'll buy him another baseball. He's like,
Right.
I don't live there. I'll buy him another baseball. It's fine. Missing the point entirely here. So Otis agrees. Oh, that place is haunted. Yeah, you couldn't pay me to go in there.
Nice little foreshadow.
Like floating axes around the room and everything. And of course, in retrospect, I was trying to dissuade them from going into the house by kind of blustering things up a little here.
Sure.
Otis knows stuff.
Yes.
He's a drunkard, drunk as a fox.
Oh my god!
Well, he's probably drunk as a fox. Anyway. Okay, so let's see. So after after the call, I'm gonna take you two down there. We're gonna get that ball.
Yes,
back.
the random capital call that is of utmost importance, Dragon, and it isn't just a way to fill time.
Now, in reality, though, it sounds like the reason we have that call is to set up the gag at the very end. That's probably what's going on.
That's true. That's actually
so it's not completely.
And it is a good gag. It is a good gag. So
it really, I mean, you're kind of half right. It is a plot contrivance so Andy doesn't go in the first place. If Andy goes in the first place, the episode's going to be already over.
Sure.
Have. So then we don't have an episode. Imagine how boring that would be if just Andy showed up to get the ball. Says, "Well, I got the ball. Here you go. Okay, let's go play some catch."
There it is. That's the haunted house, folks.
And you just cut back to Otis in the cell and just done the magazine like, "So Otis, you ready to jump some rope yet?"
Oh God.
Gomer says like, "Can I jump some rope?"
Oh no. Okay.
Anyway. Okay, so let's see. So
I gotta say, like this scene where the three men are finally going into the house, Dragon, I love the physical comedy of them, like walking together and
they're all huddled together,
step in step.
Yeah,
it's so good.
So Andy grabs the ball and he's looking. They're all looking around for a bit, thinking maybe a tramp is in there. And let's see. So they get separated. So Barn, Barn and Gomer, they get separated, and they find this. The secret entrance. So we have the secret entrance where Gomer, the Gomer pile gets separated from it. He thinks, "He's disappeared." This is like, okay, where did he? Must have been a closet or something.
That Gomer comes back, just literally. I do like. I'm a sucker for this type of joke where Gomer comes back. He's like, I don't know. I must have ended up in some type of closet or something.
Thinks a ghost pushed him in. So Andy investigates. Again, he's a sheriff, kids. He investigates things. So he investigates. Says like, oh, maybe there's a tramp living here. And then they see. Basically, they figure he's been done in by something about the axe. We have this thing where do we see the axe on the door, or do we? Because we had this gag where
yeah.
We had this gag where they opened the door and they saw the axe, and then they like, okay, well, I'm not going down there. Yeah. Let's see. Andy tells him to look in the cellar. I jumped ahead a little bit. So Andy tells him to look in the cellar. And it's the last thing that Barney Fife wants to do right now. He does not want to go down that dark cellar. He's seen horror movies. He knows what happens. So he finds an axe in the cellar door, which already is not helping, and it's just like it's just the lighting.
I do like that rudder. Yeah.
Rudder was just the lighting, in terms of with all the haunted kind of smoke and
Did we skip
stuff.
over the painting, by the way?
I don't know. Did the paint? Well, I guess you're right. Sorry, when they walked in, I guess they looked at the painting initially. So they walked in, they looked at the painting, and then there's this thing of like, I saw the eyes move, and Andy's not seeing the eyes move. Yeah.
I just think the painting is like probably the most iconic, like spooky image from the episode. Wouldn't you say so?
It is. It's a real,
I honestly
pretty
feel
good.
like if it weren't for that, this episode would kind of like be on the, like kind of like on the line of counting as a spooky episode. But I mean, that is an iconic piece of like classic haunted house imagery right there.
Well, it always helps that the culprit is behind that painting.
Exactly.
Watching them, just sitting there and watching, drinking moonshine tea. He was sitting there and watching them.
Uh-huh.
He's getting fatter. So, anyway, okay, let's see. So they have this bit where they're knocking on the mantelpiece there, and we hear three knocks back, and Andy sees the eyes. Now he sees the eyes, and let's see. So you guys are right. There's no place for us. Let's get out of here.
Okay, so that moment right there, I want to just highlight it because that's like the best example in this episode of like Andy Griffith being like, or Andy Taylor being pushed to his limits, Dragon. It's like the man can put up with a lot, Dragon, but he has his limits.
That's true.
And that's honestly one of the things I find very delightful about Andy Taylor as a character is because in a way he reminds me of like a much more like tame version of Hank Hill, you know what I mean? Where he's like he's a man very much who lives by a set of values and he tries to uphold those values, but man, if like you can push your wrong buttons with him and he will react. Like if given the right opportunity.
Now in Hank Hill's perfect world, all the sheriffs are Andy Taylor.
Oh my god! Absolutely.
That's a sheriff feed. Sir, you're a sheriff. Sir, I'll
it's
tell
literally like Pokemon, how it's like it's only Nurse Jennies and Nerf Joys. It's just like Sheriff Taylors in every county.
Yep. Like, sir, I'll tell you what. I'll tell you what. You're a sheriff I'd like to have a beer with.
Oh my god. But seriously, Dragon, Hank Hill and Andy Taylor would get along fucking famously, wouldn't they?
That would be the crossover. You remember if Andy Griffith ever cameoed in King of the Hill? Do you remember?
Oh man, I don't think so.
You can imagine they might have gotten him for at least one. I mean, the man was in Spy Hard after all. I mean, it's not impossible to get him in something.
I'm looking it up.
But here's something that's nice, though, in the episode: the fact that, in retrospect, Andy is not being spooked here. He's playing possum, so he's saying that he knows someone's there, but he wants to.
There is a lot of like Reddit like saying that Hank Hill is like the most wholesome dad since Andy Griffith, but no, he never did appear in King of the Hill.
Oh, well. Anywho, like I was saying, though, it's kind of nice that he's kind of playing possum here. He's kind of like trying to trick the essentially our moonshiner guy behind the painting here by pretending to be scared. When you think about it.
Yeah, that's basically his plan. Yeah.
Okay, so we reveal as everyone's run away, Andy conspicuously missing from the running away montage. We reveal Otis and the bootlegger. Well, not bootlegger, the moonshiner.
Yeah. More or less bootlegger too.
That's the thing. Like, so when is this show set anyway?
Dragon, I want to say like post-Depression era, so like 40s maybe.
Because that's the thing. Because I mean, the show is shot in like the 60s, right? It's shot in the 60s.
Yeah,
so it's not taking place in that period. It is.
I don't know. It's not 60s. I don't even think it's 50s because I don't think the actual vibe of it is like modern enough to be 50s.
Well, that's what I'm saying. Do you think they're going back as far as the actual like the 20s? Do you think?
It's possible. I'm not sure, honestly.
Well, the point being, so it's definitely not supposed to be the 60s. It's definitely set in the past.
I don't think it's supposed to be the 60s. I really don't think so.
That's what I'm saying. Like nothing like 60s modern, like modern.
Right. And like I said, I would even question if it was the 50s.
I mean, they didn't play like any Beatles or anything or something like
that.
No,
absolutely not.
Yeah, so I mean, you'd have like there's no like psychedelia or something.
I don't think Andy Taylor would approve of the Beatles, Dragon.
Oh God, no. That's what I'm saying, but it also helps that we're in like folksy kind of ghost town, North Carolina too. It probably
Right.
helps.
That's true. That's true. I honestly, Dragon, I think you nailed it on the head. I honestly think Woodbury is kind of like it's meant to be a town that's sort of timeless. You know what I
Yeah,
mean?
which is a good idea for your show. It just makes me
Uh,
wonder, is
so
given the whole.
really, I think the answer to your question is like I don't necessarily think it has a set time period.
Yeah, the only reason I ask is because it sounds like, because I keep saying bootlegger because bootlegging at a time was basically when alcohol was kind of like very much under heavy restrictions and everything, and feels like it would have been something very much of an earlier time versus like when it just kind of happens. So it's either they say moonshine's a problem here, so I feel like
Sure.
how big of an epidemic moonshine is in like the southern states. Even going back to like, let's
I
say,
mean, I
circa
know
50s.
nowadays moonshine is like a fucking institution
Yeah,
in southern states.
that's what I'm saying. So now it's institutions. So that's the thing. Even going back then, I wonder if like even after like prohibition era, like
Well,
moonshine was like a
it's
thing.
probably like how marijuana is like an institution in like places like Colorado and California.
So you'd have to imagine
That's where
it's probably like the same principle then. Where even though it's
probably
like
I'd imagine
probably
so.
not
Yeah.
it's not illegal, but maybe the manufacturing of it on a big level maybe is.
Uh,
Like it's
uh.
probably. I think if I'm guessing, mind you, I'm not a lawyer. We have a lawyer, but he's not here right now.
He's busy tonight.
Yeah. My guess is that it's more of a regulation issue in terms of like these people making their own, they're distilling, making their own booze, which is probably cheating the institutions or
I
so.
can see
Like
that. Yeah.
it's like unregulated booze, so it's not like if something were to be like badly mixed into the alcohol and someone were to die from it, obviously that's because it's unregulated. So that's where the moonshine probably is trouble in the town. Would be my guess. That's just me completely spitballing right in this moment here. So it's okay.
I don't think you're too off base with that, Dragon. I don't.
Anyway, so reveal Otis is in cahoots with was it Big Jack Anderson?
Which I think is a pretty decent twist, don't you?
I mean, here's the thing. I was so delighted that, oh my god, it's a literal Scooby Doo plot. They're trying to scare people.
Exactly.
And
It's live action Scooby Doo, Dragon. That was like one of the big appeals to doing this one.
And with Don Knotts in it.
Exactly.
Even better. It's not just Scooby Doo. It's what is it?
The new Scooby Doo movies.
It's the new Scooby Doo movies. Even better.
Right. Yeah.
Andy, why is there so much moonshine?
Oh my god! The ad said there'd only be a little moonshine, Andy, but I'm fucking wasted. All right, I'm sorry.
Big Jack Anderson's brought way too much moonshine. Otis, why did you help Big Jack Anderson bring all this moonshine? Okay, anyway, so the point being, they're basically expositing their plan Scooby-Doo villain style here, but we then see a floating axe on wires. Now, here's the thing. I love the axe is very clearly on wires.
Yes, very clearly on strings.
But this is like the wonderfully antiquated thing where initially I'm thinking like, okay, this is just like a 60s thing where it was we, the audience, can very much see the wires, but we're intended to not see the wires. But then a few moments later, we revealed, no, you're absolutely supposed to see those wires.
And isn't the shot of like wily Andy Taylor like dangling the axe, like that's what I'm talking about, where it's like a very Hank Hill thing where it's like if he gets his buttons pushed, Dragon, Andy's not afraid to to pull some rapscallion shit like this.
Yeah. All right, let's see. So they get scared and they leave. But also we have this nice bit where Gomer and Barney realize like Andy's still inside. So we can't just leave him in there. So they run back in, and it's a nice little moral moment for Barney. Is a coward, but if Andy's in trouble, he's going back in after him. That's a nice little Barney Fife moment there for you.
Sure.
So we reveal Andy's literally pulling the strings here. He's pulling the axe strings, all part of the plan. And he scares him off, and Barney enters. He sees the axe, and we hear like the ghostly wail and everything. Like he's freaking out. He almost faints.
Yep.
I love that him almost fainting like Andy, like he drops the egg, like, oh no, but Barnes, it's just me.
All right.
So we got some moonshiners to bust up, Barney. Wake up. So it's like he tries playing. Oh, of course, I knew you were doing it the whole time.
I called it the whole time.
God. Okay, so then we have kind of our coda at the end here. Where
I love this little coda, Dragon. For me, it's probably like one of the biggest laughs of the episode. I think. I think it pays off really well.
So Andy is greeted by this federal agent. I forget what his exact is. Do you remember what his exact label is?
Hold on. I might have that in my notes.
It's like alcohol. It's like the alcohol control board or something. I forget what
something like that. Something like that. 1 second. Federal agent, alcohol control division. That's
alcohol control division. There you go.
Yeah.
So he says, like, good. Yeah, he's complimenting the machismo of Andy Taylor.
Specifically the machismo. That's important.
Good, rough, tough. Basically, good, rough, tough, rugged officers. You and your men are. Oh yes, Barney Fife and Gomer Pyle assisted as well. So it's like
I like that Gomer Pyle gets credit even though he's not technically part of the police force. I thought that was nice.
Yeah, I mean he's gonna be. Has he become a military man yet, or will he become one?
I don't think so. I think that's part of like I said, that's part of the spinoff. So unless the spinoff is a prequel, I don't think so.
Okay, it's crazy. Do you think we would have prequels like back in the 60s like that? Didn't we have prequel shows like a la Better Call Saul back then?
I mean, nothing like Better Call Saul, of course.
I don't mean literally like an Emmy-winning 6-season.
I don't know, Dragon. I don't think so. I think it was all just like, hey, here's a popular character. We'll give them their own show, and that's.
We always have spin-offs that are going forward, never really quite the spin-offs going backwards. All right, so. Okay, anyway, so some rough and tough, rugged officers. You want to meet them? Sure.
Oh my God.
So what does he walk into?
All right, he walks into a jump rope contest, a sobriety test, if you will. Oh, I love it. My mother, your mother, lives across the way. Every night, this is what she'd say. Knick-knack, soda cracker, diddle-a-diddle-a-doo. Knick-knack, soda cracker, I love you.
So, of all the rhymes to walk in on when this guy's.
I love the writing on this rhyme because it's just like specifically fucking written to be just as unmasculine as possible. Like cracks me up, Dragon.
And just Andy's reaction is just priceless.
They're just like the physical comedy on Don Knotts as well. Just again how into it he is.
Yeah.
Oh my God! It's perfect. I think it's a perfect ending.
Indeed. So that's all she wrote.
All right. Little Blue says, I wonder if you remember this, Dragon. He says, before he died, Don Knotts would appear in one episode of Robot Chicken along with Phyllis Diller, where they were camp counselors that had to do with Scooby-Doo encountering Jason Bourne.
I remember that very well.
Yeah. Cool. So, obviously, big thanks to Little Blue. Dragon, I love this episode. I think this turned out really well. I'm glad that we ultimately landed on it, even though we had some struggles ultimately picking what of the classic sitcom episodes to talk about this year. I think we landed on a really good one. Like you said, it is essentially live action Scooby-Doo, and I love that. So, no complaints, honestly. I think this is a very... is it like the most memorable episode of the Andy Griffith Show ever? Probably not, but I feel like it is a really, really good prototypical Andy Griffith Show episode where it really shows off most of the cast in top form, unlike the Jetsons, which was kind of like an awkward, oh boy, yeah, this episode was written when the series was kind of running out of steam, wasn't it? Dragon, the Andy Griffith Show does... when they go to color, that's when the magic dies.
Tiki, when I was getting to the episode, scrolling through them and had the little picture that pops up. I'm so used to the Andy Griffith Show being in black and white from the world that I've seen of it. And I saw
the color episodes are just not the same, Dragon. They're just not the same.
I know they didn't technically colorize it, but they then just, because they didn't go over the old episodes and colorize them. I'm just saying the fact that they switched over to color, it's also, it's kind of like the thing with the George Reeves.
I don't really consider the color seasons to be I consider them to almost be two different shows, you know what I mean? Because the vibe is just so different.
It's also the kind of thing I have with the George Reeves Superman show, where I think the first 2 seasons, I know at the very least the first season, but I think the first 2 seasons or so, are black and white. Then it kind of goes over to color, and it just. I mean, it's still Superman. People wanted to see him in color, but mainly, basic kids wanted to see the suit in color. That's all they really wanted to see in color. But when you look at that show, that every time everyone thinks about it, they think of the black and white because that's where the I Love Lucy crossover was. Superman in
Exactly,
black and
exactly.
white.
Oh my god, dude, we should talk about the I Love Lucy crossover
We
at some
should.
point.
We should. But that's the thing. It was just that you're. I don't know. It's just there's such a charm and sincerity to black and white. Sometimes it's just kind of unparalleled. And I guess getting to this episode again, this was a solid one. It's, I mean, I gotta be honest. It makes me want to rewatch the black and white Andy Griffith Show
Oh, you
episodes.
totally should, man. I think you'd enjoy it.
Yeah,
I honestly think it's kind of right up your alley with the pleasantries and everything.
Just might be. So good time. It was a good choice, and I was hoping we were going to be able to get in there, but yeah, we ended up we were able to. So yeah.
All right. Okay, well, folks, that's the end of tonight's spooky selection, and our spirits grow weary. But they'll be stronger than ever next time as we engage in even more haunted holiday hijinks.
Mwah!
God.
Fear the knots! Mwah!
Why are there so many ostriches?